Welcome to another tip and trick for AutoCAD. We're going to be looking at grips in AutoCAD in this particular tip and trick, and we've got a drawing for you in the library that you can use. It's called workingwithgrips.dwg, and as usual you can download it to follow along with this tips and tricks video. Now, I mentioned grips. More to the point, do you know what grips are? Well, grips are these little blue things that appear when you select an object. So if I select that rectangle like that, those are grips, those little blue squares and those little blue rectangles there. And we're going to go into how they work and how they can help you edit your AutoCAD drawings. Now, just be aware, if you select objects and those grips don't appear, you need to right click and go into Options. And in your Options dialog box, in the Selection tab, you've got an entire section dedicated here to grips. And if that box there is unticked, you won't see any grips in your drawing at all. So you need to make sure that Show Grips is ticked. Apply that to, obviously, your AutoCAD and click on OK to close the dialog box. That way, when you select an object, the grips appear like so. And then when you hit Escape to deselect it, the grips disappear like so. So let's have a look at these grips. Now, we've got some rectangles and we've got some circles. If I select a circle has 5 grips. It has the quadrant grips and a center grip. If I hit Escape to deselect and select the rectangle, which is a closed polyline, you can see that we've got corner grips and we've got midpoint grips. Those tend to be pretty much the standard grips that you'll end up using. Obviously, if you draw a line has 2 endpoint grips and a midpoint grip. So let's have a look at how this works. How do these grips actually work? Well, when you've got an object selected, let's select the rectangle, and you hover over a grip, you'll get a menu, like so. So the menu there is prompting you. You can stretch that vertex, the highlighted grip in the reddy orange color. You can add a vertex, add another point, another grip to the polyline, or you can remove that vertex from the polyline as well. So when it says vertex, you're talking about a coincident point. So in this case, it's the corner of your closed rectangular polyline. If I just hit Escape now and deselect, just to make sure that we've cleared everything, and then select the rectangle again. If I hover over this one, you get a slightly different menu. You get stretch, because you can still stretch using a grip. You can add a vertex, add another point to the polyline, or you can convert to arc. So if I convert to arc here, what happens? It converts that to an arc using the grip. You've still got the grip there, but it's now the midpoint of the arc. I can then go back to convert to line when I hover over, and it converts it back to a line again. How fantastic is that? You've got a closed polyline, and you can add an arc segment to it quickly just by hovering over that midpoint grip. It's a very, very neat piece of functionality. It's very clever indeed. So I'll just hit Escape there to deselect everything for the moment. Now, with all these grip edit tools, you'll notice that it gives you information as well. So, for example, if I select the circle and I hover over that grip, it tells me the radius of the circle. Move away, hit Escape to deselect. You will have noticed that with the rectangle as well. Hover over a corner grip, and it tells you the dimensions of your rectangular polyline, which in this case is 1500 by 850. Now, that's literally just by hovering over a grip. What happens if you physically click on a grip on an object? So we've hovered so far, and it gives us like a sort of reddy orange kind of color. If you left click on that grip when it's highlighted, it goes red. It becomes what is classed as a hot grip. So now I can stretch that closed rectangular polyline using that grip. But more importantly, if I right click, you've got an entire grip editing suite, because you've still got the stretch, add vertex, remove vertex, but you can also move, rotate, scale and mirror using that grip you've just selected. You can even change the base point. You can copy as well. So for example, if I selected move now, using that grip, you can see I can move it using the grip. But more importantly, I can carry on and right click again and do a copy. And what will happen now is if I just bring that down there and click and press enter to finish, it's copied and left the original behind. So using that red grip there, I've done a move and a copy. So I've moved down here to this one, but I've also copied, so it's left the original behind. Remember, when you're using grip editing like this, you must always hit escape a couple of times to deselect the object you were working with. Otherwise, the next time you do a grip edit, if there's anything selected, it will include it in that grip edit. Really important. So easy to make that mistake. I still do it now after over 30 years of AutoCAD. So don't stress it if you do it. It's an easy thing to do. So let me just zoom out slightly now, and we'll look at some of the other grip editing tools that we have available. So if I selected this rectangle and I selected this rectangle and I wanted both of them to move, what I can do is I can hold down Shift and I can select that grip and that grip. So what will happen now is I've got a multiple grip selection. So if I now click on this grip and use that and right click and move, it will move both of the objects with only one grip selected. So what I can do now is do that right click and copy again to leave the originals behind. And now I'm building up my drawing. I'll press enter to finish, make sure I hit escape to deselect the original objects that I was using. So that's a multiple grip selection, and you can do that with any number of objects. You just literally hold down Shift after you've selected the objects and select the grips that you need. Now, the grip editing tools are extremely useful. So what I'm going to do now, I'm just going to select the circle and the rectangle like that. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to select this grip here. If I click there, right click and do a rotate, I can rotate about the grip using my polar tracking if I want to, like that. Or I can actually specify an angle if I wish, or I can do it by eye. It's entirely up to you. So if I click there like that, you'll see that it's done the rotate about the grip, but it hasn't left the originals behind. So I'll just hit escape there and undo that. Let's do that one more time. So I'll select the objects and I'm going to click on that grip there, right click, rotate. And remember, it's a right click again and copy, and then it leaves the originals behind. Enter to finish, hit escape to deselect, like so. Now, there's one more that I want to show you here with your grips, which is the base point setting, which is extremely useful because what it allows you to do is specify a new base point. So I'm just going to undo a few steps so that we're back to our original rectangles and circles. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to zoom out slightly and just pan across a little like that so that I've got some space over here on the left. I'm going now to select this rectangle and this circle. I'm going to select the upper left grip there like that, and then I'm going to right click and I'm going to go to mirror. So that will mirror, can you see, about that particular grip. Now that's all well and good, but if I come down to here and use that grip as the end point of the mirror line, it mirrors the objects automatically and doesn't leave anything behind. You must remember that. That's where it differentiates from the actual AutoCAD regular mirror command. So what I'll do is I'll undo that. And again, you're going to select the rectangle and the circle. And I'll go with that grip there, right click, mirror. And again, what I might want to do here is change the base point. So right click again and base point, and I can now pick a new base point. So if I come out this way using my extension snap, let's say I come out by 250. So now can you see it's mirroring about a new base point, and I can use my polar tracking, but if I want to keep the originals, remember I still need to right click and do a copy. And as I come down vertically using my polar tracking there and click, and then enter to finish, hit escape to deselect, I've done a mirror now, but it's a subtly different mirror to the regular mirror command. You have to right click and do base point and right click and do copy after the grip mirror command. So there's some little tools there for working with your grips. Really useful if you're working with lots of closed polylines, because those grips don't just allow you to edit things like I've shown you, but you can add a new vertex. You can convert a line segment to an arc segment. You can also add vertices quickly and easily if you need to. Normally you don't have to, but sometimes you want to add an extra vertex to a polyline to allow you to obviously manipulate that polyline in a certain way in a certain drawing. So work with those grips. They're extremely useful, and also, like I showed you at the beginning of the video, make sure they're switched on.